Welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Oh So Spurs podcast, where despite our first defeat under Ange, there is much optimism and things to look around the corner at in excitement. And we've got almost a full house today. We've got with us Jonny. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm like a 5 out of 10. Bit of an Emerson Royale score today. How are you?
Yes.
How are you, Jen?
I think we'll all have to just introduce how we're feeling by Tottenham player as an analogy moving forward. So I like that. So Johnny's feeling Emerson Royale. You know, there's no reason to panic. There's plenty of improvement to come. But yeah, Si, what about you?
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit Don Paratici tonight, mate.
Yeah, you are looking a bit Don Paratici tonight, Si. Keep the good signings coming.
The silver fox, my friend.
And Stu, how are you? How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm like Madison. I'm buzzing. I'm fine. I'm good.
Bloody hell, man. Come on.
Yeah. Do we start with that?
What about you, Jimbo? Jimbo, what are you feeling?
I still feel like before the game, before that defeat, I was 10 out of 10. I'm still 9 out of 10. I'm still feeling really good. I think I'd have liked to win the League Cup. I'd like to have Spurs to have won the World Cup, the League Cup, but it's not going to happen. Obviously, the World Cup. So yeah, but it is what it is. There's plenty of silver linings. I remember the season that Liverpool went on to win the Champions League and also the Premier League. Those two seasons, both seasons they went out. I believe they went out the League Cup and FA Cup in the first 2 rounds of each of those years, and just doubled down on those competitions. So look, if it means we're no longer rotating in the FA Cup. And we continue this momentum in the league, it's fine. It's disappointing, especially for the away fans that travelled, but it is what it is. It's football. It's Fulham. We didn't lose to a League One team. We lost to a Premier League team with the rotation. But should we just spend 5 minutes on that match where we think maybe there could have been some lessons learned, and any players that perhaps took their opportunity and ones that were slightly disappointing didn't take their opportunity to step up. Si, I'll start with you.
So, let's to come back to your first point about the winning or losing that game. I'm just really disappointed we didn't give it a go because, in all honesty, I was sitting there in the pub talking to a couple of fellas last night, and I said I'd rather have won this game and lost Burnley at the weekend. And my reasoning for that is, you lose to Burnley, it's just 3 points, you can pick them up. You lose this game, it's gone. It's binary, right? You lose, you're out. I would rather have won this game and not had as much tinkering as we had. So that's my feeling on where we should have deployed sort of the resources most effectively. I think there's a couple of players that could have really stepped up and made an impact here, and I'll pick one because I'll let the other fellas maybe pick up the other one that I was going to say. And Lo Celso, I thought, could have done a lot better in this game. I thought he had a shocker. Now, I get that he's got PH and Skippy around him, which doesn't help. But if he's as class as what he said he is, Maddison looked better when he came on. Fair enough, he had Sarr around him at the time, but I think Lo Celso had an opportunity to sort of show what he could do, and I'm not sure that he did himself enough justice there. But you've got all of the Exerati now, I think they're called, aren't they, instead of Twitterati? The Exerati now have been honing in on individual players and individual performances and saying, look, this shows how shit our second string is. I don't think it does. I think it shows that you can't change 9 players in a team and hope that they all gel together in a game against another Premier League side. Because when no one was complaining when Højbjerg came on at the weekend and shored it up against Bournemouth, were they? They were all saying, oh, what a genius tactical move by Ange. So I think what was unfortunate was the amount of changes, and maybe we can have a discussion about what he said about his reasoning for those changes a little bit later once we've done the round table on this, because I think that was an interesting point, and I'm not sure I agree with his viewpoint.
Yeah. And especially, I think there was that disappointing thing was there was that wonderful quote going around before that, you know, I'm a winner. I want to win every single game that's put in front of me, and the lineup may be contradicted, but there's also an element here, isn't there, of 3 games in 7 days away from home. Are your hands a little bit tied? But I'll pass this on to you next, Jonny. What are your thoughts?
I'm certainly not as positive as Stu about things. I'm totally up. I mean, Ange has got a lot in the bank, even though he's only been in the job for a short period of time. But I just think it is what we were saying before we came on recording there, that the context is that we've had year after year of this, of these selections and cup competitions, and you can't pin that on Ange, but you can pin last night on Ange. And given that we don't have European football as well, and in previous seasons we did, there's even less excuse. And we've got an issue now in terms of the squad. Obviously, we can kind of get into that as well, kind of a little bit further on. But now that we don't have the Carabao Cup, there's even fewer opportunities for players on the fringes to get game time. And yesterday, his logic was that he was going to throw these players in to give them game time. Yeah, they're Tottenham players and all of that. And there's an argument there, but to make 9 changes is, I mean, I can't remember an instance. I'm sure it must have happened, but I can't remember an instance with Spurs anyway, and any time recently where anything like that has happened. And it's okay. Some of the players are used to playing with each other. Quite a lot of them played last season together, but it's just it's such a step back, isn't it, to what we were looking at last year? That first half was just like last season all over again, and I think this has been very unfair on Lo Celso, to be honest with you. I do think that the players who were in the midfield with him are made a massive difference to really what he was actually working with. And I think he was unlucky to get hooked at halftime. I think it was good to see that Ange is trying to do different things, bringing on Scarlett, but it didn't really work. And it was when the more recently experienced players came on that we played an awful lot better. I mean, it's just so frustrating, and obviously the pens, is a lottery and all that. But like poor old Sanchez, like all of us are thinking,
I know.
steps up. Like,
you did feel
mate,
take it.
What the hell are you doing? But I mean, it's like he's the one that stepped forward. What about the boys who didn't step forward? It's like, come on.
And number 3 as well. The number 3 penalty taker. It's a key penalty taker.
Yeah.
So it's just a huge sense of disappointment because we've missed up one of the 2 trophies where we had a chance of winning. You know.
You got to look. You got to look at it as well. You know, with the stick we always get and the treatment Spurs get. If West Ham won the Carabao Cup, they'd be lauded as this, amazing achievement. If we won it, it doesn't count. It's only the League Cup.
I don't care.
I'd still love it. I'd still love it. But Stu, how are you feeling about everything?
Yeah, I'm fine. A couple of points. I said in our little WhatsApp group after we've conceded that I was okay with us doing badly yesterday, in the sense that things have been going so well and everybody's been talking up Ange Ball and we're a dark horse and the rest of it. I thought it was pretty good that we've kind of come crashing down a bit, so people's expectations maybe a little bit more realistic, and also Ange maybe realizes this isn't going to be the walk in the park that maybe he was getting a little carried away with. Because I agree that we have made wholesale changes in the past. I remember under Nuno there was the second string team, and that's what ostracized half the squad because it was the league team and it was the cup team. But that cup team also did what we did yesterday, which was lose. And I don't think what we did yesterday benefited anybody, because as Sai was saying, give Skip a run with the others, he'll be okay. Give PEH a run around with the others, he'll be fine. Give Solomon a run when he's got Sar, Doji, and Poro, Bissouma, Madison around him. He's going to shine. He'll have more space. I think making this type of wholesale changes was risky, and I didn't particularly like his explanation. He seemed a little defensive, and I didn't really agree with that.
Yeah,
but I think overall, we need to be a little. I think people got a little carried away with the negativity.
Yeah,
we lost to an own goal,
definitely.
And on penalties. It wasn't like we got humiliated. We didn't get beaten by Sheffield United's reserve team. We didn't get beaten by Colchester. We lost to a Premier League side away from home. But another thing I will say, Jim, I don't agree with his hands were tied 3 away games in a row. 3 away games in the same country. Fulham's down the road. And this is the beginning of the season, and we don't have a long season ahead because we don't have Europe. So I think he doesn't have many excuses.
That's a key point, Stu, in the point that you make about in the past where we've made wholesale changes, we've been in Europe as well. So you've had to think about this cup and Europe and.
Yeah.
We haven't got to think about that. This is the same as any other team playing in Europe, playing the midweek game and having to play a strong side in the week.
Yeah.
I just think it was just too much. But on the bright side, though, Mickey's top scorer now.
Yeah. Very true.
He's an unlucky individual, isn't he? I felt so sorry for him.
Yeah.
2 from 4. He's got a 50% strike rate. He's doing well.
Yeah. He does. Yeah. But it is.
Also, Sanchez. So I was going to say Sanchez. I love the fact that he's, with all the abuse he gets, he had the mental fortitude to stick his hand up when everyone else went hiding.
Yeah,
and his penalty wasn't even that bad. The goalkeeper guessed right.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything
pass it to their left back or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's. I don't think it's anything much more complicated than. Look, Ange's first year in the Premier League, he might have misjudged the strength of the squad. He's only been here 2 months. Maybe he just overthought and overestimated the ability of some of those squad players, and he's had a bit of a reality check with some of those. Our first team is still fantastic. The likes of Star are still developing like crazy. Maddison's super exciting. Vicario looks super solid. Just these guys weren't in the team, but moving forward, we're probably going to learn from those mistakes and have a really good season. So I'm still. Look,
you know what,
the other thing is,
I'll take that if he'd alluded to that in the press conference, but he didn't. He gave a totally different reason in the press conference for why he did what he did. Yeah. He wanted to have a look at them under pressure. So he wanted to have a look at 9 of them under pressure, but it's not real pressure because it's not pressure in a team that's playing the way you want it to play. And I wonder if the transfer window was closed, whether you would have seen a different side.
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
The truth.
Yeah. I don't like to get into too much of the conjecture because I heard these stories like ex-players didn't want to take a penalty, they ran away and they threw. We just don't know what's the truth around everything and what Ange is really thinking. Is he happy with the squad? People are saying, is it like him having top 4 bonuses and not having trophy bonuses to put it on the owners and all that stuff? Like, we don't know any of this. It's all just such conjecture. I just think it's as simple as overly rotated, underestimated a competition in the opposition. He's not going to make that mistake again. At least it was out of all the competitions, the Carabao Cup. I mean, the FA Cup's just been a part of me growing up. I'd absolutely love. If we go and throw that competition through rotation, I think everyone would rightly be pretty outraged. But hey, it was 3 games in 7 days.
The problem is, though, Jim, it's 15 years. It's 15 years since we lifted that trophy. And I mean, I'm sorry, I'm kind of saying what I already said, but the context is not the same as I'm not like a negative Nelly or whatever you want to call somebody who's like, I'm no negative Nelly. I mean, I'm as positive. I am as positive as you are, but like our performances have been fantastic. Ange has been brilliant. My big picture is not changed, but taking yesterday in isolation, I just think the importance of that is more than usual because we don't have Europe, because we got a new manager, and true. To keep the sort of momentum. And I just like, and also the thing that sort of surprises me, and look, I'm a teacher, right? Okay, I'm not Ange Postecoglu. There's a reason he's the manager of Tottenham and I'm not. And but however, as just an experienced viewer and supporter, it seems odd that somebody who's just turned 58 and has got the wealth of experience, the variety of experience, the intelligence that he clearly has, that he would have been. It seems almost naive that you would make that number of changes, because it's not as if it's like you're right. You made the point. We haven't just lost to Colchester or something. You sort of understand 9 changes against them, but it's a side who's actually quite a decent Premier League side. Yeah. It's a side that's just gone to the Emirates and earned a good point. Yeah. And they made a few changes, but nothing like what we did. So to me, it's just like from the Ange point of view, almost more than anything, really, because the people that didn't play very well yesterday, kind of like, well, that was no surprise. What I think I'm a little bit disappointed in is just that Ange. I totally trust him and all of that, and if he wants to get whoever he wants to get, grand. But I just feel like it's just a little bit of a mark. I mean, he's still a legend and all that, right? Okay, legend,
Yeah.
but he's still a great manager. But it's just like I'm a
Johnny,
bit disappointed.
He's got
if he-
legend.
Lads,
Well,
do you know what?
I don't mean legend. Well, he's got a lot of chance. In fairness, like he's got more chance than anybody else. But that's my kind of that's my disappointment is really on Ange more than anything.
I was disappointed in Ange and also Mason, to be perfectly honest, because I would have expected him to have had a word in Ange's ear. Because Mason was there when he watched Højbjerg and Skip play together game after game after game, not well together. And what did we do yesterday? Especially after halftime when he hooked Lo Celso off and put another striker on. It was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna have to.
A quick point on the Just a quick point on the reference that the Football League Cup is a non-cup, but then if we're going to go with that premise, we can't reference 15 years since we won a cup. Then we've got to reference 33 years since we won a cup in '91.
That's true.
You can't use it as the last time we won a cup if it's a nothing cup.
Yeah. But we've got to kind of wrap up in a second on this part, because what we're going to do now is for those watching on listening on audio, it doesn't matter. You just stick to this episode and it will be fully one episode. But if you're listening on YouTube, we're going to split it into two halves. So part one is to debrief on the game we had against Fulham, and part two will drop about half a day later, and that's going to be our Burnley preview episode as well. So we're going to switch over to that. But I just want to, before we go on to part two, I do want to say that we all as fans said endlessly that there's going to be bumps in the road, there's going to be potholes. This is an 8th place Tottenham team coming in. We can't expect this guy to work miracles. He's just lost the best striker in the world, and we've gone out of a cup on penalties, and we've all absolutely lost our nerve. And I just think that we need to remind ourselves there's a happy medium between that stage and where we are now, and the reality probably is that it's not as bad as we think it is, even though it's certainly not a good thing either. So let's move on and look forward and move to the second part of the episode.